So either your ice cubes are weird or your cup is weird. Your lovely On Guard merch. Okay, if you all ever see us wearing a shirt and you're like, where did that come from? It's probably from SafewordShop.com. SafewordShop.com.
Stop yelling at people.
Ah! Roll the opening. Ah!
Hello.
Welcome back to
What's Safeword?
I'm Amp.
I'm Mr. Christopher.
And today,
we
you're
are.
doing so well. You're doing so well.
Are you praising me?
You're doing so well. You're doing so well. Are you
You are
turned
praising
on
me.
yet?
Well,
is this attractive
I
to
like
you?
to be petted.
You're so good.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what a
That's
great
cool.
top.
I love it.
Well, neither
More,
do a bunch of other
more.
people. Okay, praise him in the comments.
More.
Do it. Go. Like any good or at least mediocre creator, every once in a while when we're feeling like we're not sure what we want to do an episode on, we go to Google Trends and we search for keywords like, say, for instance, you type in kink into the Google Trends calculator, and you see what's trending all over the States or just the US itself. And when you happen to type in the word kink, do you know what one of the first search terms is?
Praise the Lord.
You'd think, yeah, because religion and America, and they can't seem to split the two. No, praise kinks. Now, praise kinks or gratification kinks were upwards of like 2,000% recently. And where do you think and why do you think it was happening?
Because you young kids have stumbled onto something new.
You're close. On an app called...
Grinder?
What did we just do an episode on? TikTok.
TikTok.
Correct. Turns out praise kinks and gratification kinks were on the rise not only across multiple states, but all over the US. And this got me thinking, what the hell is that?
Exactly. That's what I'm always thinking.
We've done things like pleasure doms as a podcast episode, but we've never really looked into gratification or praise kinks. And when we think about sexually charged atmospheres whatsoever, or just sex, you'd think that praise, gratification, even pleasure as the focus of what's going on is normal?
It's supposed to be for pleasure and gratification.
Yeah, but what happens when trends start and then people start asking questions on if these are things? Because when I started doing the research, there were plenty of articles that were jumping on the bandwagon to be like, oh my God, gratification and praise kinks, totally always been a thing. But then there are people like you and me that are like, we've never heard the terminology before, but is it something we need to talk about?
Is it just something that we've been doing all along that they've labeled differently?
Well, praise kinks, gratification kinks, pleasure kinks, or even pleasure doming, as the name suggests, is all about focusing on getting pleasure from being dirty talked to in a gratification sort of way. Like, you're doing good, you're such a good boy or girl or pony, here is why. And you're focusing on that feedback to give them pleasure.
Positive reinforcement.
Yeah, which I think
do that all the time.
everybody generally responds well to that. But this is a kink in such a way that you are specifically focused on getting that feedback for a number of different reasons, which we're going to talk through today, but also go through some of your responses that really made me think. Because as me and Daddy have kind of already talked about, like pleasure, praising, gratification should be a part of the sex that we have. But when you live in a society that doesn't focus on pleasure, when you teach stuff like sex education, it also doesn't surprise me that then we have a hyper focus on something that seems almost like taboo to have involved in the bedroom.
Pleasure?
Yeah. I'm being completely serious. Did you ever talk about pleasure when talking about like sex ed?
No, because that's not what they focus on. They focus on the actual birds and the bees.
We never had a bird or a bee in our classroom.
And if you have that during sex, you're doing it right.
But all kink has praise and affirmations. I hear a lot of you in the comments already typing. Please don't type yet. We haven't finished the episode.
Don't comment before we're done.
Premature commentation.
You're doing good. Keep commenting. You're doing very, very good.
What are they doing what about it?
You're commenting so well.
Look at that sentence structure.
Oh my God, that is
Punctuation.
fantastic. You did such a good job. God, it's exhausting being nice.
Again, this kink revolves around zoning in on the things that your partner is doing well or that makes them attractive to you and really focusing on it in a dirty talk sort of way.
That just makes sense, because if you give them that positive reinforcement, they're going to do it more.
But it also takes certain skills, because even you trying to give the commenters...
I know.
Yeah, it took a second.
People
right?
have a hard time doing dirty talk because your mind has to keep coming up with words.
Beyond fuck yeah,
Oh, yeah.
hot,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, suck it. Like, that's not fun, gratifying sort of terminology. That's just you trying to engage your person and try to make them go faster or do whatever.
And you don't want to repeat the same mantra over and over. You don't want to repeat the same mantra over and over and over and over and over and over. Or you want to switch it up a little bit.
So today, let's talk about praise kink. Let's talk about being gratified and just providing pleasure and see if we can sway you onto the side of praise kink being a thing, or maybe you're sticking to your guns and say it's always been a part of every kink that you have. Are you down for the challenge?
Hallelujah. I don't know, every time you say praise, I think of Jesus.
Personally, I get it. It sounds odd. It's weird, quote unquote, but so is every kink until you get into it. And so is every kink until you can kind of wrap your head around it. I remember when I first found out about puppy play and I was like, oh. You know that, you know?
Yeah, no, there were so many kinks that I saw other people doing in my 20s that I was like, ooh, I could never do that. And then now that I've gotten older and more comfortable with myself, I'm like, woohoo, bring it on.
I'm sexy, I'm cute, I'm popular to boot.
You're doing good, you're doing good.
Okay, can you self-praise?
I do it all the time. I'm praising myself right now.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Or hey, maybe you even need to praise the sponsor and tell them what a good job they're doing for being supportive of our content. How can you do that, Daddy?
Helix Sleep, you're doing so good. You gave me the best night's sleep last night ever. Good job.
Now, Helix Sleep has been one of our longest running sponsors here on the channel, and Helix makes it easy for you to find the mattress for you using their Helix Sleep quiz.
For you, yourself, or you and a partner. Now again, you can do for one sleeper or two, enter in their names, their heights, their weights, as well as sleeping positions. So me and Daddy might have different kinds of sleep positions, maybe even firmness preferences. And if you happen to be like us, who are a little older, we do have body aches and pains that we can also specify. Lord knows my knees will never be the same since COVID. But we ended up with a what, Daddy? A dusk?
Lux.
And, Daddy, how are you enjoying it?
I love my Dust Lux. Say that 3 times fast.
Dust
Lux.
Lux.
Dust Lux.
Oh,
Dust Lux.
Yep. And since getting our mattresses, I've actually never had sleep that was this good. I had an old mattress that had some springs in it, and because Helix has springs and this lovely like cushioning sensation, they're not only the best mattress for sex, but they're just the best mattress to get a good night's sleep.
And before I got this mattress, I had my other mattress for over 10 years.
Plus, Helix not only ships to you very, what, Daddy?
Quickly.
Some scissors or
Oh my God, I got it.
And when you're ready to really let it inflate. Do not try this at home. What do you do, Daddy?
Ooh, it's the opposite of a vacuum rack. It goes, ready? It's eating me! Whoa!
If you've ever bought a mattress, there is that nagging sensation of like, ooh, is this the right mattress for me? I don't know if I like this. So we especially like that they have what, Daddy?
100-night sleep trial.
So over 3 months for free that you get to try it out. And if you don't like it, you can ship it back and you get a free refund.
And don't forget, Helix has a 10-year warranty.
And they even offer financing options and flexible payment plans. So,
If you go to Helix Sleep today and use offer code WAT, you get up to $200 off your mattress and some free pillows on us.
Thank you, Helix Sleep.
So let's recap. Praise kinks and even gratification kinks are zoning in on giving pleasure to another person, deriving pleasure from that, or even giving someone compliments where you're zoning in on specific parts of who they are, what they've done, or what they are doing, and making it all about that pleasure and that act. For instance, Daddy, you are looking so handsome.
I
today.
know!
Brand new glasses.
Right?
And that shirt looks so nice
Stop
on you.
it. Thank you.
Your
I got it
nipples are
from Safeword
especially-
shop.
Okay. Well, now you give me some praise.
You're doing a really good job.
That does not turn me on whatsoever.
You did so much work for this episode. I really, really appreciate it. Your notes are impeccable. Your sentence structure on par.
Okay, you can't just give the commenters the same response that you do.
No. You're better than the commenters. You are so much better than all the commenters. You guys are good too. But you're such a good boy. So many good boy points. Yes, so many good boy points.
Obviously, when you're doing a good job at something and you're providing someone pleasure, they're giving you some wonderful compliments, you are zoning in then on some power play aspects that BDSM is really good about. Now, if you were to say that praise kink isn't a thing, I would argue, well, what about erotic humiliation? Do you find humiliation and zoning in on embarrassment to be a kink or not?
I do, actually. So, yeah.
And I think that's where you can kind of start unpacking things like praise kinks, because when you zone in on and when you hone in on a person's emotions in that regard, that's when you're unlocking and focusing on a thing that they might be embarrassed about erotically, or derive pleasure from because of the power that is being put into play.
Yeah, especially during humiliation scenes, because what you're embarrassed about, if you're being praised for it, it makes it okay.
You got it. You got it.
I think she's got it.
Got it. Got it.
By George, she's got it.
And actually, we do have Tumblr to thank for this specific terminology too, because this is not something new, but more so something that's been honed in on by the internet in a brand new way on TikTok, and where we see that growth in just people wondering, what is praise kink? Why am I not doing this? And is pleasure a part of sex? Oh my God, like that just boggles my mind that people are still searching and figuring out pleasures.
But why Tumblr?
Why not? That's where everyone unlocks their kinks, I feel like, or at least
that's
used
where
to.
I got started.
Used to.
Yeah.
Now we're just all on Twitter, I think, waiting for...
We've switched Tumblr to Twitter, waiting for that to get shut down.
So maybe we've swayed some of you guys into understanding what praise kinks are, but I was just curious, like, what were people's thoughts on praise kink, gratification kink, and things that revolved around this kind of pleasure doming? And people were like,
Actually, no, that's not the truth, Ellen.
there was a lot of back and forth in our comments that I kind of want to go through and just
Oh.
talk through your responses, whether they're right or wrong, good or bad, and unpack how we really like form and talk about and understand new kinks that we've never heard of before. Because I run into them every day.
Same.
Good response.
Thank
Good
you.
response.
Thank you.
The way you looked at me right in the eye, had no idea what I just said, but still went along with it. Very good. Well, the first response from Keely says, I saw a guy on TikTok that said he had a gratification kink. I'm so glad that we can literally say anything now.
So why can't we?
I mean, in this case, when you see things trending on TikTok, sometimes it's a little fishy. There's plenty of trends that are just abuse or misguided kink happening. But in this case, I think that Keely is just saying,
Wait a minute.
I don't get it. I don't understand.
You can't just say you have a kink because you like a certain thing.
Because who doesn't like being gratified? Who doesn't like being praised? I will continue with the next response from Tech, who says, while there is the fun way to think of these playful, jokingly things, at the end of the day, there is a kink for them. People have a literal kink for gratification, praise, etc. And to that, I think that that openness is what helps people to understand that what they're into is okay. And I think that when we talk about kinks like this that aren't for everybody, people that don't understand praise kinks aren't the ones that the praise kink is for.
So any kink is that way. So if you don't understand any kink, it's probably not your kink.
And I think that it's okay to allow room for things that aren't your thing. That's
Right.
how the internet works.
It's not for me, but if it's for you, go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I responded to myself in this thread because I was going on YouTube. I just wanted to see like what other creators thought, what other educators said about praise kinks. Evie Lupine was one of those creators. But the very first results that came up were the Try Guys. Ned Fulmer messed up big time. Ned Fulmer and the Try Guys cheated. I don't know why Ned Fulmer are the first responses.
Do you get praised for cheating?
No, in fact. Daddy, do you even know what a Try Guy is?
Is it like a tri-tip?
I mean, I try guys all the time. With consent, of course.
Well, now there's only 3.
Or how about from the I Refuse podcast, who says, I think that they exist. I believe cash dom qualifies as a sort of gratification kink, aside from the gratification that's gained from the power dynamic. There is also gratification and praise from the mentality and the setup that precedes the transaction. And why not? I think that you can add praise and gratification into other kinks the same way we add other kinks together and make wonderful experiences and scenes.
That's why it seems odd to me that it's just its own specific kink, because I use it in many other kinks hand in hand.
Now we're putting verbs and terminology to the actual action, which, as we've learned, whether it's identity, kink, maybe even in sexuality, like having the words and verbiage to explain what something is and why you enjoy it helps to make sure that we are able to focus on it in the ways that we want. Like if I'm able to say that you gratifying or even praising something that I'm doing really, really specifically makes me, oh my God, so happy and turned on, like why wouldn't you lean into that?
Well, you got me. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
Oh, I do. I do all the time.
But
Whether I want to or not.
Okay, well, no. The or not doesn't help the scene. In my mind, like, you being...
I mean, I never say the are not out loud.
But whether I want to or not.
kind of ruined it there. I'll just... Goodbye.
No, you're doing so good. You're so good. We're halfway through. Good job. Good job. Good boy points.
Just say good point. You have to focus on a thing.
Ah!
Terrible Lotus says that they don't really understand what it means, and because gratification comes in many different ways, the term doesn't mean a lot in regards to performing a kink. If you're being gratified or praised from power exchange, say that, or whatever specifically you are getting gratified from. But that's just it. That's just it. Honing in on and focusing on specific parts of the action or person or looks even, and how they're doing something is what turns people on. If you're someone that has, a nice chest, or maybe a nice pelvic area, or maybe your genitals are especially cute, that's where you're getting dirty talk and learning to dirty talk better by using praise kink, I think. And to kind of piggyback on that, Keltwolf says, well, within the question lies a bigger question. Do kinks need to be sexual or result in sexual satisfaction in order to be kinks? If not, what are the requirements? The first part of that, purse first.
Parse fires. Walk into the room, parse fires.
No, I mean, there's lots of impact play and flogging and such that doesn't actually result in sexual gratification, but it does cause a euphoric gratification in your body.
Yeah, whether it's endorphins or even just giving you a headspace to get nice and comfy, I think that praise kinks in that way provide a headspace where you feel like you're doing good. And in a world where we feel like we're fucking up all the time, it's nice to feel good about something, okay? The follow-up though, if not, what are the requirements? What are the requirements for kink? Existential crisis.
What are the requirements?
Well, that's what they're saying, is like, what is required to constitute a kink?
Something that turns you on.
Or something that but see, it's not always sexual, we just said that.
Yeah, but you can be turned on by being flogged.
Okay, there you go. So something that turns on a certain part of your psyche, your feelings, your emotions, while not inherently sexual, is something outside of the norm or the vanilla. I think that's what constitutes a kink, is being turned on and engaged in some way that is not normal, quote unquote normal by society standards.
Kinks come in all different forms.
Yes.
Not all of them are sexual.
Correct. What I appreciate about this is that you're not sure, I'm not sure, and we're having a discussion, which proves that there is something to talk about. We're not just saying no, we're trying to wrap our heads around a different way of thinking about our own selves, whether it is sexually or not.
I think the problem here is there's not a hanky code for it.
What would the hanky code be? A little comment or something? Like a like? I don't know what the hanky code would be.
Yeah, like a gold star. Sticker.
A gold star! Oh, a hanky with gold stars. Just gold stars printed on it, like your old school math teacher exams. Yeah. Yes!
Good job. Good job, everybody.
Or how about Keo, who was at the end of the thread, who says, at the end of the day, don't we all have a gratification or praise kink since we find pleasure in fulfilling our own and or our partner's sexual wants and needs? It's like an umbrella kink term that I sort of feel.
Yes and no, because some people have compersion and some people don't.
True.
So some people are going to understand a praise kink and some people aren't because they aren't naturally wired that way.
Sure, but I think that's where having conversations is where you're able to step back and the more we have talked about polyamory and even digested our own relationship, both together but also openly when we have these kind of conversations.
And boy, was it delicious.
Our relationship? I think that that's where we have the most introspective looks at ourselves and where we're able to kind of step back and be like, oh, compersion, for example, is the opposite of jealousy.
Right.
Am I jealous that you are having fun with someone else? Or am I angry that you didn't help me with something I was working on? Or that you didn't make time for me this specific week? Or you didn't clean the dishes still that are in your dishwasher? And
you and the dishes.
when was the last time you cleaned your dishes?
They're clean. Go look. They're clean. What are you doing?
All just sitting in the sink. That's what I thought. Okay, well, now that I've cleaned your dishes.
Thank you.
Continue.
Continue it.
Praising me.
Good job, good job. I don't think I'm good at this kink. I don't think this is for me.
And that's okay, which is where we have a few pointers for the specific kink in play. A few things that should really be kept in mind when you're getting into a praise kink or even gratifying someone specifically is that you are focusing on specific parts that that person feels good about and maybe they want you to focus on. So if they're doing a really good job taking a flogging or taking a beating, focus on that. Tell them how the redness of their body looks so hot, how they're taking it so well. Focusing on those things that they want the praise about shows that you're not only paying attention, which some of us are really bad at, but that you are thinking and just appreciating them, right?
But like in a humiliation scene, can't you focus on what's embarrassing or uncomfortable? Like, look at you, and you can ridicule them?
Yeah.
Is that part of it?
That is part of it. So like
Because that I'm good at.
embarrassment is a huge part of power exchange in that way as well. So not only telling someone they're doing a good job, but telling someone that they are such a little tiny...
You're such a little piggy. Look at you being such a little pig.
And getting them into that play in an embarrassing way also causes that discomfort that people are really good about kink with.
Now squeal like a pig.
Anybody that struggles with taking a compliment, myself included, knows how this feels. So you can not only embarrass them, but you can literally just compliment them until they feel uncomfortable, so long as it's what they're into. For case in point, a really big pointer here is appreciation is not just for subs.
Thank you. Tops need appreciation. Stop it! Stop it. There's that look.
And something to remember is, while praising, you can be gentle about it, but you can also be aggressive. There
Yeah.
are literally 50 shades of praise.
Yeah, you look so hot.
Okay. Don't scare them. Unless they're into that.
You're feeling hot, don't ya? Aren't ya? Don't ya? Something.
Or how about let's not forget that praising someone can help them get into a headspace. And if they're especially focused on this kind of play, the headspace is very important that you build properly. And the last and probably the most important point to this is pleasure. We are focusing on pleasure. It's something that so many sex education programs, and maybe even in our episodes every couple weeks, forgets to talk about. Like when we talk about a kink, we don't always focus on pleasure, but that's literally why we're getting into the fun in the bedroom.
It's the only reason I do it.
Do you get like excited by having power over someone, by giving someone actual compliments, or even giving them directions? Give directions to get erections. Put that on a shirt. If you ever are having a hard time finding out or figuring out why someone is into something, think about what emotions or feelings they are getting from that and draw parallels there. And realize that there's always going to be new terminology, there's going to be new kinks. Being dead set in your ways does not make for constructive conversations or even learning. And that is that's bad.
No. You're supposed to praise now.
Oh. Well, if you're allowing space for other people to find new things, good job.
Good job.
Look at you being
Nice
so
job.
open.
Nice. See,
So
we
open.
turned that around. We turned that around.
So open. Yeah.
Don't look at me.
No, you So whether you're getting embarrassed or not, maybe you're getting praised, always have a safe word. Today's safe word is
Gold star.
because you get a gold star.
You get a gold star.
You get a
You gold
do.
star.
Helix-
You get a
Helix
gold
gets
star.
a gold star.
Oh, Helix gets a big
Who else
one.
gets a gold star?
You do.
Oh, no, you.
No, you.
No, you.
You did such a good job on this episode.
Thank you. So did you. You look especially nice in that piggy shirt. It really matches your shorts that you should show the audience because you look cute. Oh, ooh.
I can do my little piggy dance.
I don't know how I feel about the piggy dance. Regardless, if you like the piggy dance, leave a comment down below.
And if you like ringing bells, ring that bell.
And if you want to praise us, you could always leave a like.
Praise
Choose
away.
something you liked about the episode and praise us for it. It seems
Yes.
topical. This is the only episode you need to do that. Otherwise, we don't usually ask for praise, you know? So.
If it's a bad comment, leave it for our shaming kink episode.
Yeah. Go find our erotic humiliation episode and leave it there.
Yeah.
And we will see y'all next time.
Bye. Wait. Did I do good?
So good.
Did I do good? Yay!
Your hips didn't lie at all.